Welcome to the first episode of a brand new collaborative build series in Cities Skylines 2. This is Civ Skylines. We'll be building on Terreggia, a custom map I designed with a hexagonal tile layout, inspired by Civilization. If you're interested in building on this map, there will be a link in the description. There are 3 starting areas, and each of us will begin with 3 tiles, and will expand our cities 3 tiles at a time. Joining me in this project are 2 incredible builders. We have Scunny and Generic Lemons. They'll be revealing their own city themes in their episodes, so be sure to keep an eye out for those. If you're not already following them, I've linked their channels in the description. And who knows, we might have guest builders that join us later on to add even more variety to the map. For my city, I'm going with a North American theme, and I will be starting in the Boreal Plateau between these 2 lakes. Today, I'm starting with a small town that will eventually grow into something much bigger. This is a modded build and will be using all of the available region packs. Since I recorded this before the Northeast and Southwest USA packs were released, they won't be in today's build, but I'm excited to use them on my next turn. Now, let's get started. Firstly, we need to set up the game. I've chosen the map, Terreggia, and I'm going to leave the map tiles locked. I will enable unlimited money so that we don't have to try and balance the budget for 3 cities, and I'm also going to unlock all so that we can build without being limited by the milestones. With that all set up, I think it's time to start a new game. Okay, here we are in game. We are going to check out the starting areas before we get started on our build today. This here is the tropical coast area. You can see there are palm trees. That defines this area. The next starting area is the deciduous delta. As you can see here, there's several rivers that travel down from this lake, and the trees here make it a deciduous biome. As you head north, you will start to see more pines and the spruces, but neither of these 2 are where we are building today. We are going to the Boreal Mountain Plateau. So this area is slightly above the others in terms of elevation. You can see this ramp up here, and we have these 3 tiles to work with. If we have a quick look at our info views, we can check the wind direction. We can see we're moving, I guess that would be to the southeast. And so we will likely put any industry buildings in this area here. I'm going to build out the road network, and then I'm going to build in all the services. Then I'll do some zoning, and I might even plop a few buildings along the way. And then we'll do some detailing, and that'll be that. Okay, we're also going to be mindful of our outside connections here. We have electricity. I will be using this. We have quite a small area, so I won't be building any power stations here. We will just use the outside connection. We will harvest our own water. That'll be via the groundwater pumping station. So we'll be looking out for that in this area here. As for sewage, I will be creating a wastewater treatment plant. We're playing with unlimited money, so I'm not too concerned about the cost at this time. I think that's just a more realistic option than just dumping it into the river. In order to get started, I want to create a little bit of history. I mentioned I wanted to create a rail line across. I also want to tell the story of an old path that went this way. There are many examples around North America where in small towns you see layers of development, and I think I want to try and create that. So I need to go a few levels lower here because I want to cross over the rail here. I think that's a good elevation, and the rail is going to go along the side of this lake, which means we should actually back out these here. And we're going to bring the power lines back in this way. have to think about where my rail line is actually going to go from here. It's going to go off in this direction. And I'm going to be a few meters up. Now we are going to use the double train track, non-electrified from Tygon. We've set constant slope. We're going to go all the way to here, except I'm going to pull this back because I actually want to go to this elevation here. I want to create some kind of berm separating this area and this area. So that's one little piece of history that I wanted to create. There is one other. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the gravel road as if it's an old road that used to exist. Just like that. So let's pretend in the past this road went straight. It didn't curve around this way. Now we'll fix this in a little bit. We'll get there. Right now, I want to connect this road to something that's going to go from the border approximately there. And voila. We have history. We have an old road. And we'll delete some of this as we go through this build. The rail will stay. In the future, I do want it to function, but I think that'll be more connection to somewhere else for passengers. I think I will make an industrial connection somewhere in here with a cargo station. And in the future, I will need to connect it up to one of these here once I've unlocked those tiles. For our grid, we're going to start in, I guess, more of the commercial downtown area. And I'm going to take some inspiration from small town BC. I'm going to create this tight grid close to 80 by 80. I think I will start with my main road. And this is going to be the commercial part of town, so there's going to be quite a bit of angled parking. I want to go up 80. So we should have these nice, tight 8 by 8 grids. If I went to zone in here, you would see 8 by 8 grids. Perfect. That's exactly what I was looking for. I'm going to continue this pattern out a little bit and see how far I can get the square grid to come across. I'm going to sever that connection there, and I might have to redraw this rail line. So now we have a bit of a rail trench. Let's delete that little segment there. This we will fix down the line and get it to go along the edge of the lake there. For now, I'm starting to like how this is working out. I think I'll have to build this out a little bit. We're going to continue our 160 by 80 grid on the other side of the tracks here. I'm gonna make a few short cul-de-sacs here. 120 meters is still pretty long for a cul-de-sac. So this is looking pretty good right now. I do want to put in a roundabout. There's going to be one. I think I'll put it right here. Just a small one. We still haven't connected to the highway, but we'll get there. We're still working on our grid. We've got our nice tight grid in here. We've got a more loose grid out this way. And up here, there's going to be farms, because if we look at our resources, we have some agricultural land there. We will make use of that and have some farms out this way, residential back here, industrial here, and commercial there. Now, looking at this grid here, can't help but feel it needs something along the rail line, something to border it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut this, and this, this and this. Let's go with that for now. I think I will pull this one across because I want to meet up with that roundabout. So as I was saying, I'd like to find some sort of border for this rail line. I'm liking how that works. It makes for some funky intersections, but I think it's fairly unique. Now I'm getting a little close to the railroad tracks on this side. I'm not really liking that. I wonder if I can pull them back at all by going like this. Ooh, that's making things pretty bad. So let's pull this up. See if we can clean this up. Now it's not perfect, but I don't mind that. I don't mind that it's not making perfect blocks. I think this is the kind of thing that they just came in later and they said, we're going to build this couplet. It's not even going, the traditional way in which a couplet would go. But I like how it's going to work. As people come in from the highway, they're going to disperse up into the residential area that way. And the industrial traffic is going to be able to disperse down towards the highway out. I'm going to cut off that there. And before I go any further, I would like to try and formalize this old lane. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to try and make it appear as if it's younger growth. So I'm going to use deciduous trees. They're going to be younger. I'm going to use a small brush. Let's go 30. Also going to use bushes. And finally, I'll also use some evergreens. I would also like a path or two in there. So we've at least got one path that's still in there. Now we're going to get at least one more row of this grid in here for the residential neighborhood. So what I've done here is I've taken this old road that would have gone all the way through and I've cut it again. So this is now the main thoroughfare through here to connect to this this agricultural area. Yeah, that'll work. So we've got the history there. We're getting pretty close here to finishing up our main grid, but I think we need to connect up to the highway. Before we do that, I know I'm going to change the laning on the highway to match everything that I'm doing. And to jump ahead of that a little bit, I'm just going to 4-lane for a while, and then I'll cut back as I need to. Now we'll need to go over the rail here at this part, and I'm going to create an intersection here. And then we're actually going to come down and under this part of the highway here, and we'll connect up on this side. So we'll have 2 connections to the highway. I don't want it to be a giant cul-de-sac. Okay, so we've made our first connection to the highway here. We'll clean up the laning in a little while. I want to make my second connection. Let's go with a 4-lane divided road. So I put in a bit of a slip lane here to make that turn a little bit easier. We've got to clean this up, so let's do that now. Let's fix this one up while we're here. And this will be a right in, right out lane only. And I think I like how that's going to work out. Let's add some cul-de-sacs around. Hopefully these don't become problems. If they do, I'll need to remove them. There we go. I think that's all of our dead ends. Now I think it's time to start putting in our city services. I'm basically going to put in everything that a small town will need. First thing I'm going to put in is the groundwater pumping station. And I would actually like to put this up at somewhat of an elevation. And I'd like to create a hill here. So let's bring our brush up. I feel that's a bit better, having a bit of the mountains sloping down more instead of this harsh edge to them. Let's put our groundwater pumping station somewhere where it'll be useful. Now in this area, I actually want to put our wastewater treatment plant. I'm going to use the Japanese one. It's a nice size and a nice look to it as well. Then we're going to put in a recycling plant. Again, I'm going to go for the Japanese one. Put it right up there. And our transformer, we will put along an alley road here. Now, again, similar to what I did earlier, I want to make sure people aren't parking here. And I don't know if people need to be crossing here either. So I think we're ready to put in some more city services here. We'll move across the bar here. I'm going to choose just a small medical clinic. I could use the UK medical practice. It is a good size. The look is actually pretty close to what I'm going for. Let's see what it'll look like. Let's put it down right there. against the train tracks. I'm actually liking that. And we know we will need some death care. I like the UK cemetery, and I'm thinking one of these two locations is probably pretty good for it. Maybe right here. And we will add the extensions. There we go, right up against the train tracks. Church has a nice view. Okay, so we'll move on to education. I'd like to have, I think maybe just the small elementary school. Going to put that here for now. And we will add the gymnasium right up against the side there. And I'm now going to move this over so it's flush up against this road here. I know I will also want the high school. Let's go with the regular small high school. Put that here. It's a bit of an awkward lot. I'm going to put the track and field in over there. And then I'll have this extension wing off this side over here. Let's actually put that there, push it back. I'm going to put some parking out front. Just like that. We have room for the American football field. Maybe if I move that track over, this already has a football field on it. So maybe I'll go with a soccer field. And I think we'll also need some parking for these. Put in the long lot there. And that means I can probably move this over a little bit. Now that we have our high school and our elementary school covered. Okay, next we have our fire station. I'm actually liking this Eastern European small fire station. And I think it would be pretty cool if we could get it tucked in here against the train tracks. So maybe something like that. Now, there are extensions for this, and I will use the extension. And then I'll give them some parking as well. There we go. Next up we have our police station. We're going to put in the small police station, and I'd like it to be somewhere in the downtown area, but not right downtown. I'm going to put it somewhere along this old trail because that might have been some land that the city already had at their disposal. So they might have owned this block already, been able to put in a police station just right there. I'm happy with that in that location. They might need some parking as well. Next up we have administration. Now I am actually wanting a city hall, but I'm thinking that this Eastern European Welfare Office would make a nice city hall. So for now, let's pop it right here. And that'll put their driveway in this intersection. They'll have a nice view of the roundabout. How about that? Something the local transportation engineers can be proud of. Look at our roundabout from our office. Perfect. Now I'd like to put in a post office. The Japanese post office is a nice size. So is the Eastern European one. I like that the Eastern European one isn't too tall. So I think I'm going to go with that. And I'm going to put it right there. It's kind of between what's going to be the residential area and the commercial area. I feel like that's a good location for it. Okay, we might as well have a radio mast, maybe somewhere up on the hill near our groundwater pumping station. Let's see what kind of range we can get with this thing. Oh yeah, that's pretty good. So I think somewhere in here is probably fine. See what it looks like. tucked away, not too much of a problem. I think that'll be good. Now, I would like to think about putting in the road maintenance depot, because I think this feels like a small town. They'd be doing a lot of the work of upkeep of the area. You know, you would have like a highways crew. They would go out and fix all the highways everywhere. So I'm actually going to work in the road maintenance depot. And I'm going to put it near what would be the city hall. So I'm going to remove a few streets here. Let's get that in there. I like that. That's a good location. I'm not going to put any public transportation into this build. I think it's still a fairly small town. It wouldn't really make much sense to have anything. Maybe you could have a bus route, but connecting, you know, maybe the school to the downtown. Again, it's a fairly small neighborhood, so considering the size of a bus depot, I'm not going to put it in. I would like to put in Tygon's agricultural medium train station diesel, not the electric one. And I think I'm going to fit it in over here somewhere and then have the rail connect to it. We'll have to use our two-way train track unelectrified. Okay, we're not going to think too much about the grades in there. I think it's pretty close to what it would be. That curve is also a little bit tight, but I'm not going for ultra realism here. After all, I am, you know, working in a land of hexagons. So now with our train yard in, we can actually see that it has what would be road connections out the back here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take an alley road. I'm going to run along the back of the building here. So it'll provide that connection. When I do that, I'm wondering, this is a little bit, maybe a little crazy. Let's pop a cul-de-sac on there. Also created this very brief off-ramp. I'm not sure this is the greatest idea, but I feel like this would actually be a thing just for the trucks that are doing deliveries to here. I could be wrong, but that could be a thing. Now the problem with this in terms of the circulation is anyone that wants to go westbound on this highway, they have to go through this intersection here. That could become a problem. With all of our service buildings in, I will eventually put in a few more little parks around, I think, as I do the zoning. But I want to have a look at our signature buildings, because there's a couple I want to put down before I do any zoning. The first one I would really like to put in is the Painter's Mansion. There's a nice spot back here. I think we can put that, I'd like to put it right there, so that they have a nice look over the lake and the mountains. Now I would like a gas station. I think a small one near the highway would actually make a lot of sense. So maybe let's go with the medium size right there. I think that'll attract quite a bit of attention. And then if we use Find It for our other one, we'll go with a level 1, 4x4, no, 4x6 here on Empire Street. That seems like a good location to me. Now I'm also interested in having this 3-star country hotel. Got a place in mind for it here. I think it's gonna be right on Empire Street, looking out over the lake. And we'll do a little detail with this in a bit. One thing I actually haven't done yet is our agricultural area. So the way I'm going to do that is going to be fairly simple, and I will use gravel roads. So I'm going to have 3 farms. Okay, let's get our first agricultural area in. I think I'd like to have some grain farming right here. And we'll do a vegetable farm here. Right now I'm feeling pretty good about the road layout, all of the services I have, my transportation connections, my industrial area, a few parks. Everything's ready to go. We just need to do zoning. So let's head into that now. So I took a little break after my last recording session, and I came back to this and I had a look, and I really didn't like the way some of those streets were lining up, especially along the rail line. So you might actually notice I came in here and I fixed it all up. So now this is a nice 45 degrees. These streets meet at these angles. I'm going to clean some of this parking stuff up in the detailing section, but I find that just looks a lot better to me, and I hope you agree. I did do a couple other things while I was here. I added in the park maintenance building here. I had to move the fire hall from back against the rail line to a more suitable place. There just wasn't enough space, and it didn't seem reasonable that whoever the rail authority is here would allow a building that close to the rail line. I also had to move the UK medical practice because it was over in this location, which became too small for it. So I moved it across the street from our postal office, and I think that's just fine. So we've got some city services that are kind of clumped together. We have our police station, medical practice, and post office all in this area on the commercial and residential side of the tracks. And then on the industrial side, we've got our park maintenance, road maintenance, fire hall, gas station, and our welfare office, which is actually pretending as our city hall. So I think I'm pretty happy with how that's worked out, and now I feel like I can move on. Now I'd like to be fairly targeted with my zoning. I will start in the commercial area. As I've already explained, I'm trying to make a North American build here, just as a small town. So I'm going to try and avoid anything that's going to zone buildings that are too tall. I'm also going to try and sprinkle in some of the things from the region packs, just to spice it up a little bit so the blocks don't all look the same. And I will also probably come in afterwards, fix some of the zoning, and maybe even plop a few buildings in with Find It, just where I feel like it's maybe appropriate. Okay, with the commercial zoning done, I think I'm going to move into this neighborhood here. This is going to be slightly higher density than this neighborhood back here and over here. So let's get started on this one, shall we? With this residential area zoned in, I'm now going to move on to the industrial area, where while I'm doing it, I will also throw in some parking and a little bit of office. So now with our industrial complete, I'm going to move into this low density residential area. With this, I'm going to use some low density North American, probably some beachfront housing, and then I'll sprinkle in a little bit of the others, kind of similarly to the other areas. I think I also want to use some of the UK low density, as I am really liking those assets. So I'm quite happy with how this is turning out so far. I've tried to do a little less density up against the railroad track, make it look a little more sparse. Added in a little bit of the regional pack in there in a few little spaces, so it'll hopefully break it up a little bit and it won't all necessarily look the same. I will go through again later and maybe add in a few little things like perhaps I want a small farmhouse out here, one for there, one for there. We're just doing it right now. And let's maybe throw a few little houses in here as well. One there and one there. So some people live on this kind of historic path here. And I think maybe we'll do one more small one. We'll see how that turns out. If I don't like it, I'll get rid of them. And then after everything's zoned in, we'll take a look, make sure none of the buildings are too big or stand out and don't quite fit the build. And once we're happy with all those, we will move on to the detailing. So it looks like we have mostly everything zoned in, you know? There's a few empty parcels around. Now, one thing I noticed as it was zoning in, I forgot how to use these ones properly. And that's the UK terraced housing. I only put one space on the end. I was thinking about the North American style. So what I should actually do is I should put 2 spaces on the end. So let's fix that now. So I'm feeling much better about some of the row housing that I have in here. And I've added these little parking lots for these ones here. But I'm not really liking how big some of these apartment buildings are. I think I want to go with maybe 4 stories max. So I'm going to go in here and see what I can do. These 2 areas zoned out pretty well. I don't think I'm going to be making a lot of changes here. The beachfront properties are maybe a little bit repetitive. I'm not sure what's happening here. This person building a driving range in their backyard? I have never seen that before. Let's do something about that. Okay. Yeah, I've got a few random little houses sprinkled in here and there just to look somewhat different. But for the most part, this neighborhood is, you know, single family. It's not very dense. I've got a few small homes coming off the cul-de-sacs here. Tried to get a little bit of variety with some of the other packs, but yeah, I think this is looking pretty good. I'm going to be heading into detailing. I'll probably throw a couple little parks in here because they could probably use it. Let's actually have a look. Leisure. Yeah, we've got a lot of parks in this area closer to the downtown. I might need another one there. And maybe a few in here, maybe a playground or something. Alright, so I think we've done a fair amount of detailing now, more than I originally expected, but I'm feeling pretty happy with it. We've got this nice viewpoint from the 3-star country hotel. I did a little bit of extra detailing here. I feel like this could maybe be like a flea market or something that's been rejuvenated over the years and they've added some color to it. Tables in the courtyard. That's nice. Just some general seating on this side, vent space, and the pedestrian street in between. Added trees to the streets. That feels good as well. I almost got rid of this building here, but I decided to keep it. It felt a little bit off and maybe a little too big, but as I was detailing this area, I started to warm up to it, I guess. I guess one thing I don't like about it is it will have these blank sides. So maybe I'll come in later another day and do something here. Although, you know what? This just made me think of something. Boom. There you go. How's that? So whoever did this was most likely rappelling from the top, or they had a very, very tall ladder. That being said, perhaps the fire department was in on it. They've got the truck for it. Although, now that I'm looking at it, I don't see a ladder on there. Okay, and there we have it. I'm really liking how this is looking. It's been interesting to build within those 3 tiles. It was bigger than I expected. Even though I made this map, it just felt like a lot of space. When I was originally putting it together, I thought that 1 tile was too small, and so I made it 3 tiles. As I was going through, it started to feel like a lot of space, at least for one build. So yeah, let me know what you think. Alright, now I almost thought I was done with this, but there is one last thing to do. I have to make a district, and I have to localize all my services that I've created to the district. Because, while it's nice to share, sharing is caring, we will not be sharing most of our services with each other between our builds. We will be creating 3 individual cities. If guest builders come in, they can do their own. We might share our services with them, but yeah, close that up there. There is one service that I will share, and that is the road maintenance depot. That way it can work on the highways between all the cities. So if we look here at our police station, we will select our district. The medical practice will also work within this district. The fire hall will operate here. And the welfare office also localized to this location. The road maintenance depot again will serve the whole area. Looks like the park maintenance depot is kind of the same. It doesn't just serve one district, it can serve everywhere. The recycling center I will keep to this district. Let's see what else we can do. I'm not sure if I forgot anything. Ah, yes, the schools. Get both of them. The post office as well. And lastly, while I'm here, when I was looking at the road maintenance depot, I realized that I can actually get an upgrade to increase the size of the fleet. And I think that's a great idea because we are going to have probably quite a lot of highway going on between us for a while. And I think having a larger fleet would be very beneficial. So one thing we cannot change or not limit between our cities is where people live and work. So I think as we build out our individual cities, we will probably see these highways get a lot busier. And that might become a problem that we might need a highway expert to come in and fix up for us. So I'll see if I can call someone in for that. Otherwise, I don't mind making highways. Love making highways. Just that this one is quite simple. Okay, that's going to be all for this episode. I think this is a good start to the build. I like how I've got a small North American town that I can grow from and build bigger cities from beyond here. I have some rails set up that I can connect to as well, so I'm excited to make those connections. I'm really looking forward to seeing what the other guys do. Next episode will be put together by Generic Lemons, and after him will be Scunny, so that's going to be really awesome. Really curious to see what they're going to put together. And then when it comes back to me, I will purchase 3 more tiles. And I'm also really curious if you have any names for this town. I will also need a name for my civilization, which I guess will be kind of a North American theme. I'm kind of going Pacific Northwest. I have something in mind. Maybe some people will know where I'm going with that, but I will wait to see. And I'm really looking forward to seeing your suggestions. So I hope you enjoyed this today, and thank you again for watching. Very, very, very much appreciate your time. And have a great day, take care, and happy building.